If I could have everyone's attention. Oh, great, awesome. We're a minute late getting started, I apologize. I'm gonna call the meeting of March 14th, 2023 to order, and we're gonna get started. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do the Pledge of Allegiance, and that's gonna be led by our student representative for this month, Miss Sophia Shepard. So if you come forward.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Sophia, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about how your year's been this year and what your plans are. Go for it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sophia Shepard. Hi. I'm a senior at HAR-BER this year, which is kind of sad. I love HAR-BER High School. I really don't want to graduate, but all the schools I've been to, I'll start with that. I went to Bernice Young Elementary, then Hellstern, and then Central Junior High School, and now I'm at HAR-BER, like I said. It makes me really sad. I really don't want to leave. But I think what's made me love HAR-BER High School is everything I'm involved in. I'm student council president at HAR-BER. I'm also president of Blue Crew. I'm involved in HOSA and senior class council, things like that. Doing the pledge is like, I do that all the time. I do the morning announcements in the morning. So that's really fun. That's been a fun thing I've done this year. Yeah, but I think what stands above all my time as a student is the time I've gotten to spend with one of my teachers, Miss Davy. She's a teacher at HAR-BER. She's also the Students Council sponsor. She's really pushed me to be the best I can be a good leader. Yeah, I just don't want to graduate. It makes me so sad. But next year I'm going to be going to the University of Arkansas. I'm going to pursue a degree in nursing. So I just want to go to school for as long as I can. So I'm going to go the medical route, you know. They'll just keep sending me to school until maybe I'm Dr. Shepard one day. So yeah, maybe my sophomore year I'm going to apply for the nursing program. And then if I get accepted, then I'll go through that. And then I'll try to be a nurse anesthetist. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Board, does anybody have any questions for Sophia?
What is Blue Crew?
Blue Crew. Okay, Blue Crew is like our student section at HAR-BER. So I run the Instagram account. You can follow it if you want to. I don't know if you have Instagram, but it's at HAR-BER. I'm sorry.
Just a little. What's sad is I don't have Instagram.
Okay, so I was right. Well, if anyone wants to follow, it's at HAR-BER Blue Crew. I run it. I post the themes on there. I make the themes for the student sections. I love the student section. Like, I'm little, but like I can yell. I can. I don't yell at the refs. I don't do any of that or the players, but I love HAR-BER. I love like any school spirit, anything like that. I bleed blue is what they say.
You trained up somebody to take your place?
I have. I actually made a whole Google form with and people had to apply. Yes.
Oh, nice.
And I made questions, and the first question on the Google form was, are you sad that Sophie Shepard is graduating? And everyone said yes, of course. And if you say yes, then maybe I'll let you be the leader. But yeah, a lot of people have filled it out, and I'm actually going through them right now. I'm picking who I want to take my place. But yeah, it's sad. I'm doing officer interviews right now too for student council, and we're interviewing next year who might be the president and vice president and stuff like that. And I like to ask them hard questions because I can't let, student council is my baby. I can't let that fall into the wrong hands.
You're tough.
I am.
I just had some personality.
Me too, you know.
Sophie, what would you tell a student that's getting ready to come up through like junior high and high school? What would be your piece of advice?
I would say make the most of it because it goes by so fast. Like, I can remember being a little sophomore coming into HAR-BER. I wasn't very involved. I didn't really know much. And I think, you have to find something that you love about school that makes you get up every day and go to it. And for me, that's, being involved, doing things like student council class period. I'm in the student council class period. That has been, the most, life-changing thing ever. It's so impactful to see a whole group of students who actually care about their school, care about their education, want to change it, want to make it better. And that's what the StuCo class period is. And yeah, just get involved, find something that you love about school that makes you wake up every day and go and love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the hardest parts and the best characteristic of a leader is to leave it in a shape where someone else can carry on what you did.
That's what I'm trying to
make
do.
it as good or better than what you
Yes,
had.
ma'am, that's what I'm trying to do.
And, that's pretty impressive that as a senior in high school.
Thank you.
You're leaving that foundation
Uh-huh.
for the next person.
All my friends say that I love Har-BER enough for them, too. May 5th is coming so soon. They're gonna have to drag me out of that school. They're gonna have to drag me out. I'm not ready.
But when you say you don't want to graduate, there are options for that, but you probably don't want to explore those.
I don't know. No, I don't. I'm not trying to
I think the U
fail.
of A is pretty excited that you're coming there too.
I'm very excited to go to the U of A. I'm very excited.
I think that going into the medical field is a great thing.
Mhm.
But I will tell you, as a father of 3 kids, your parents will cut you off at some point.
I know, you're right. I gotta get the scholarships. That's what I gotta do.
Right.
I've been writing some essays. Actually, the other day, I was scrolling through the student announcements to find some scholarships to apply to, and there was a HAR-BER PTSO scholarship. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, HAR-BER PTSO scholarship. And I clicked on it. It was like, write a 500-word essay about how HAR-BER has impacted you, about how you love HAR-BER. And I was like, this is my scholarship. I better get this scholarship. I was like, it is mine. I was like, 500 words is not enough. I need more.
Well, I love your enthusiasm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Board, is there anybody else that has any questions?
Will you introduce your mom, please?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. This is my mom, Samantha Shepherd.
Not proud of her at all, correct? But we appreciate you being here.
Thank
We
you.
look forward
Thank
to
you.
watching you as you go through the U of A. Maybe you'll come back one day and
Maybe.
get up in front of us again when you've got a real job.
Hopefully.
All right.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
being
guys.
here. All right. Okay, Dr. Cleveland, that brings us to the agenda for tonight. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
All right. Board?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Creek, a second by Mrs. Cook to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. There's a couple things there, the out-of-district transfers and the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any questions about any of that stuff? If not,
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
we have a motion by Mrs. Cook, a second by Mr. Bell to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, that brings us to some really fun items that we're going to go through that Dr. Cleveland's going to handle. So,
Absolutely. You know, it's almost spring. We're getting close. Next week's spring break, and we have a lot of celebrations. It's amazing how quickly this year's already gone. It's just we looked up and here we are. But we've got Miss Stacy Plumley, who's director of GT, among other things, former assistant principal here. But she's got a couple of minutes, so she'll be able to.
At Young Elementary School, when Miss Shepherd was at Young. I hate following her. You did such a wonderful job. But I want to thank the board and thank Dr. Cleveland for letting me come up and talk today and celebrate our gifted and talented facilitators and our students. Just to let you know, we have about a little over 2,200 identified gifted and talented students in Springdale. We actually serve students from kindergarten through 12th grade. Kindergarten, first and second grade, we do through a weekly enrichment that is provided by our facilitators or through the classroom teachers by the facilitators. Third through seventh grade was considered a resource class, a pull-out class. And we also, our sixth grade through our 12th graders, we have advanced classes, AP classes, concurrent classes, IB, acceleration. We really have so many options that we can serve our students of high potential or our gifted students. I wanted to recognize, first off, some dates that you might not be aware of, but February 20th through 24th is Gifted and Talented Awareness Week here in Arkansas. And at that time, I was at the AGAT conference, which is the Arkansans for Gifted and Talented Education. And while I was there, I got to actually celebrate one of our facilitators, Mr. Mike Gray. He serves at Turnbow Elementary and Bayari Elementary, and he was actually awarded, and you can see the pictures here, he was actually awarded a scholarship to just help him with his GT certification, and actually a curriculum award that he submitted that people from all over Arkansas submitted. I also want to celebrate Miss Abby Russell. She is the East GT facilitator at Knapp Elementary School. And she was awarded a scholarship from ASTA. Arkansas left me. Sorry.
Teachers Association.
There you go. Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. But she was awarded with this large check to help her with her gifted certification. But I just want to just let these folks know how proud we are of them and how we can celebrate with them. And we have been working hard with the PLC model, and I'm sure you all know much about it. The question 4, that fourth question when we are meeting with in our CTMs, that is when the kids already know it, what do we do then? And our GT facilitators are busy working with and digging into the essential standards and the curriculum to provide extensions for students and teachers so that everyone is learning all the time, every day. So very exciting work that we're doing right now. So do you have any questions about anything? All right.
Appreciate you being
Well,
here.
thank you, and thank you for letting me celebrate 2 of our facilitators. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
It shows, Mr. Hudson, that Ms. Fink's coming, but it's Ms. Tischer. Today, we have required trainings in Little Rock. It's supposed to be the admin team, but Dr. Smith and Ms. Fink took that for us, and then they're traveling to Hot Springs to the East Conference. So
Yes.
Ms. Tischer, she volunteered.
I did. So, good evening, board and Dr. Cleveland. Thank you. Tonight I have a really exciting recognition of one of our very own principals in our school district. The Arkansas Association of Educational Administrators recognizes a principal in the state for what they call the Above and Beyond Award. And so I just want to give you a brief introduction of the Above and Beyond Award. This year's state winner is Miss Kim Simcoe. And so in just a moment, after I read about the award, I'm going to bring her up to the podium and let her say a few words. On December 14th, 2012, Newtown, Connecticut Elementary School Principal Dawn Hochsprung gave her life in service to her school community. In her honor, each year, Arkansas Association of Elementary Principals selects a pre-K through 12th grade Arkansas principal who has made a personal contribution or sacrifice that has resulted in a significant impact on his or her community. Ms. Kim Simcoe, principal at T.G. Smith Elementary, was recently recognized with this prestigious award. Her love for her school, students, families, teachers, and staff is evident in all she does. Kim understands the many barriers to learning students bring to school daily. She does not use these barriers as an excuse. She sees them as an opportunity to serve others. Ms. Simcoe runs her school with the mantra, relationships first. She personally knows all of her students by name and knows the families in her building. If she becomes aware of a need, she personally fills it. She's often found after school driving through high-poverty neighborhoods, honking her horn and delivering food to families in need. On multiple occasions, Ms. Simcoe's staff has witnessed her former students approaching her in public to hug her neck, say hello, and thank her for all she did for them as an elementary student. In addition, Kim selflessly gives to the colleagues she works with. She is in tune to the culture of her building and knows when teachers and staff need a pick-me-up. It might be in the form of a positive note, sweet treat, a trinket, words of encouragement, or lunch in the lounge to show her staff how she values their hard work. The culture of Smith always feels warm and welcoming. The culture of care and high expectations is evident throughout the school. We are proud of Ms. Simcoe and all the work she does to make TG Smith a great place to learn. And Ms. Simcoe, congratulations on such a prestigious honor. We'd love to have you come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Board. Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. You know, I said, number one, they pulled it off and I knew nothing about it. And I still can't figure that one out. But it's an honor. It's a service award, but it's what we do. And I've said that there's no way I could do this work without my teachers and my staff, my parents and my students. That's just what we are at T.G. Smith Elementary School. But I was thinking about being up here tonight, and I thought, you know, it's what Springdale Schools, it's what we're about. And I've been in education 29 years and started my 29th year this year. And it's just what we do in Springdale. We just take care of kids. We take care of each other. We take care of teachers, staff, parents. And that's just who we are. So I feel like when we, you know, like reading, we have that strong foundation to be reading. Well, we have a strong foundation of taking care of relationships, just taking care of one another and just seeing the need and taking care of it. So I just feel like it's just what I do. It's just who I am and who we are and what we do. So anyway, but I thank Springdale Schools for that opportunity. So any questions?
So they tell you that award came, you had to work 5 more years?
10.
Somebody did say something about that. So anyway, thank you. Any other
Really
questions?
proud of you.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's something I never expected and didn't know was coming, and it means a lot to me. So, thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for choosing Springdale.
You bet. Springdale's it.
There he is.
Good afternoon, Dr. Cleveland and the board. I have the distinct honor of introducing Ms. Heather Barron tonight, as she's 7th grade counselor at Helen Tyson Middle School. Come on up here. And she has been recognized as the ARSCA Northwest Arkansas Counselor of the Year for her outstanding dedication and service to students in Springdale, students and families in Springdale. We're so thankful to have her here as a counselor. We go way back to our Helster Middle School days when if I had a question about something, I would pick up the phone, and who did I call? I called Heather Barron and asked her the question, and Heather always had the answer. We're very glad that she's here, and I hope that we can just recognize her tonight with an applause of her service to our students and families. I told her too, she begged for me to speak tonight, so I told her she could speak tonight.
There's anything, for those of you who know school counselors, we are not the people to brag on ourselves. We are service-oriented people. And so it's really hard for me. They did a whole article, the communications department did a whole article, and I've had all these people contact me from not just in Springdale, but other parts who've worked with me before. And it's really, overwhelming to go, oh my gosh, they're talking about me. And I'm like, oh, and I have been doing this for 27 years, but I don't ever feel like I'm got it all together yet. I'm always trying to find things to do better and trying to be better. And so it's really hard to be like, oh, look, and here's congratulations. And everybody in my building told me congratulations. And it's just been really humbling, but also really it makes me proud to be recognized as well, because I did get nominated by my peers. So it was really nice. And I work with some of the best school counselors here in Springdale. They are we are just such a great group to be together with. And so I appreciate everything that the board does to support us. We really do try every day to do everything that we can to get our kids ready for school and to be in class and to be learning. And so we do a lot of different things, and I know you're like going, oh yeah, what do the school counselors do? We do a lot of different things, but the number one thing that we are always concerned about is the social and emotional levels of our kids and what's going on with them and what might be impeding their learning. So I know that y'all's support is very important. The people that I work with, like Mr. Donnell, is very important. My staff is very important. These are all the people who help me do my job. And so I really appreciate being nominated, and I certainly appreciate being recognized.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job.
Before I provide you with an update on the CSSO program, I'd like to announce that Springdale Schools just received $844,000 from DESE for the school safety grant, and that money, that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Those funds will be used to purchase vision panels for classroom doors so that if there's ever an emergency event, they can flip down these little panels and it will block out the site so you can't see into the classroom. Touch bar devices for our doors, shatter-resistant film for classrooms and for front entrances, and bollards to prevent access into our buildings if somebody driving a vehicle into a building or something like that. And then also weapons detection equipment. Okay? The next, I'd like to invite all these men and women up here. Just make a big old long line up here. Come on up. I'm going to introduce you to them, and I'm going to try to get it right. They've been giving me a hard time about making sure I get all their names right, but I think I can do it. We got Sue Waxenfelter at Tyson Elementary, Matt Venable at Hunt, Kevin Connor at Elmdale, TJ Houck from, don't tell me Young, Danny Calderon, he is at George Elementary. We got Buster Gary from Sonora. We have Bobby Beatty from Bayari. We have, you're going to mess me up. We have Mr. Brett Coggins from Knapp. Dale Teague, and we're going to talk about Dale Teague here in just a minute. He's from Walker. We got Don Kopp from Shaw. We got Ben McCowan from I learned McCowan's name wrong, by the way. This is a big joke between he and I. I have a friend, his last name is McGowan. So I've called him McGowan. I finally got it right, McCowan. So he's awesome. We got Jason Scott from, hang on, I got to think about this just for a minute, Smith. We got Mr. David Lanningham from Monitor, Mr. David McGee from Hart, Mr. Josh Schindler from Parsons Hills, Mr. TJ Pfeiffer from Pre-K, and Mr. JD Farrell. We're going to talk about JD also in just a second, from Jones Elementary. And they are making up the CSSO team. We're missing two folks tonight, which is Austin Winningham and Zach Paul. They're Washington County Sheriff's deputies. They work part-time. And they work for us part-time, so they're actually, tonight is their work night, so they can't be here tonight, but they're outstanding gentlemen as well. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Dr. Cleveland for bringing this vision forward, allowing this to move forward, for the board to getting behind it, supporting it, making it happen, and then just, 6 months later, we have an entire program and just some outstanding individuals, and just really doing a great job in the school, from mentoring to keeping our doors locked, to making sure that our campuses are secure, to really getting involved with NOT training. We'll go through that too. On this next slide here, we have just some of those requirements. I won't go through all those requirements, but they have extensive training, but also they are participating in firearm training 4 times a year. All CSSOs cross-train with Springdale PD. I didn't do this at the beginning, and I'm going to just say this right now. Couldn't have also done this without Captain Taylor, Sergeant Treat, Rusty, come on down here, Rusty Johnson. Also, Jeremy, come down here too. Jeremy's been a big part of this. And Dale Teague and JD, come on over here, please. These are our 2 leads. We have an east side red team and a blue team, and they actually lead about 8 officers each, and so they're here as well. Just really a team effort with this. I hope I didn't miss anybody. SROs, the Springdale Police Department, just all helping work together as a team to making this all possible. And I'm very thankful for it. Very, very thankful and grateful that we have now armed presence in all of our buildings, K through 12, which is really wonderful. It's a fantastic place to be. So kudos to all of you. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them, or any of these guys could answer them, actually. Any questions for anybody?
I don't have a question. I'm just thankful for each one of you and for your service and dedication. And you didn't have to do this, and I know you're not doing it because you're going to be a millionaire by the end of the year, but you're doing it because you have a service mindset and a servant's heart. And I'm just grateful for, I know we're all grateful for each one of you and what you mean to us, and just want you to know that we appreciate you.
Well said.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you all for coming.
If I could have the band and choir directors come up, that'd be
I was gonna ask if they were standing in the red field blue, but they were across.
Wow, whoever did that fast. That's awesome. You're amazing. That's wonderful.
Good seeing that.
Come on up here. You can just stand in a line up here. You can move on down this way, guys. Just kind of stand around here. So I just have to start by saying that I've known some of these people for 25 years, and I know what they do each day. They work hard each day. They really do a great job serving students and families in Springdale. And I just want today to recognize some of the great work that they do in our district. I'll start with band. Over 2,100 students enrolled in the Springdale band program. And oops, I got a clicker. I forgot I had this. I wanted to just compliment HAR-BER High School and SHS for receiving 1 composite scores. That's the best score you can get. 1's really good, 2's pretty good, 3's not so great, 4, and then 5's about the worst score you can get. Okay? So just going through that and make sure everybody understands that. All right, so both bands and marching season, I'm gonna just tell you, they're out there in 110-degree weather. They're out on the asphalt. They're out there marching. They're out there, just hitting it every day. And just kudos to the HAR-BER High School and SHS band program. Here is something we all ought to be super proud of. Central Junior High School, these are all region players, the best of the best in the region. Central had 78 total all-region players. Southwest had 47. You can see the breakdown between all-region band, orchestra, and jazz band. DTSOY had 42. George Junior High had 3. Lakeside had 36. And if you'll look at this number right here, I want you to draw your attention to this. 167 of the 256 total seats available in the region, which is 65% of the region band. So when the director comes from wherever they come from, Jeremy, right? If they come from Central Arkansas or Missouri or wherever they come from, and they do that first downbeat, 65% of those kids in that band are Springdale kids, which is pretty amazing. Pretty impressive. High school had just as good of results here. They had 65 all-region players at the high school level, 65 at SHS, 65 at HAR-BER, and 50 at Don Tyson School of Innovation, which they made up 63% of that band as well, which is really outstanding. I was telling somebody this the other day. You probably all know this about me, but I'm uber competitive. Right, I just am, and I'm like, okay, we're 65% this year. Let's be like 85 next year. Like that's where I want to get, because I know what's that going to do for kids. It's just more opportunity. Those kids are going to get more opportunity. They're going to be more engaged in school. They're going to want to come to school more. They're going to feel really successful. Right, all of those things happen when you do that. Here's a number I'm super proud of. The number 36. 36 all-state band students. 17 from HAR-BER, 9 from SHS, and 13 from DTSY. You can see that. If you make All-State in the state of Arkansas, you're pretty much guaranteed a scholarship wherever you want to go. state school and scholarship. Is that a fair statement? That's pretty fair statement there. I mean, you can just write your check anywhere you want to go if you make All-State. So that's 36 kids' opportunity to go wherever they'd like to go. And do they have to be a band director or a choir director? They do not. They could. I chose to be that, but they don't have to do that. They could be a doctor, lawyer, physician, dental hygienist, whatever they want to do. And they can use that money on that band scholarship to participate in that, to earn that money to pay for school. I'm going to go through some choral program notes too. There's over 2,200 students participating in the choral program currently as of today. And this is the ACDA choral results. This is HAR-BER High School had 8. That was outstanding, and I'll let Clint talk about that in just a minute. CGHS, I do want to say this about Gretchen Watt. I know that she was in the hospital tonight. I just hope that everybody just takes a moment of prayer for her. And then also SHS had 1 student from that. And Clint, do you want to just talk about ACDA real quick?
This is a national event. This is the first kids ever from HAR-BER selected. Springdale High School, I think, has had some in the past.
Correct.
Central has had some kids in the past as well, actually attend nationals. But they sang in a theater that's older than Carnegie. They performed with 50 of the best kids for their voice part across the nation. So it's a pretty highbrow deal, and they're working with the best musicians in the world. So it's a really good event.
It's a big deal.
I drove a short bus to Cincinnati and made it back.
All right, so junior high results for the choir is 52 in Central, 42 at Southwest, 35 at DTSOI, 28 at George Junior High School, 37 at Lakeside Junior High, for a total of 194 kids out of the 348 seats, which is 55% of that region, all-region choir. Then also with the all-region choir senior high, we had 108, yes, that's correct, 108 come from HAR-BER High School, 35 from SHS, 28 from DTSOI, which was a total of 171 of the 320 seats, which again was 53% of the seats, which is outstanding. And then All-State had 52, and I'm going to just say this out loud. I don't think that we've ever in the history of Arkansas had 52 people come from one school for All-State at All-State, correct? Is that correct? Yes. And I would just say that that's outstanding work. Outstanding work also with SHS having 11, DTSOI having 14, for a total of 77 kids making All-State. Now think about those 77 kids just for a minute. 77 kids that can pretty much write a check wherever they want to go in Arkansas right now for any kind of major they want to do too. As long as they sing in the choir, that's the deal. You sing in the choir in the college, they pay you the money, you get your degree. So then 19% of that choir was from Springdale. And then HAR-BER High School music program had set an all-time record for the most students in one school in a single audition, which is just outstanding. Just a couple more things here. Band has not went. You go in March. I'm sorry, not March. There's a split, yes, in April. So then this is the region assessment, performance assessment for choir, and you'll notice that we had a zillion more ones than we had twos, which is always good to see. And they did outstanding work there, and these are all different choirs that went to the region choral performance, and we are outstandingly proud of all of these choirs here. Also, the total number for all state qualifiers is 113. I would venture to say there's no, I'm just going to say it, there's no school in Arkansas that had 113 choir and band students make all-state. Zero school in Arkansas that had that. By probably 20 or 30, Springdale had the most of any school in Arkansas make All-State, which 113 scholarships, that's what that's all about right there, okay? And then this is something that we've just talked about. We're going to have a Performing Arts Signing Day, tentatively Thursday, May 4th. We're going to bring all of those 114 kids. And remember, if you don't make All-State, you can still get a scholarship. So we're going to have a bunch of those as well. We're going to take a bunch of pictures. We're going to post that in one booklet and just bring that out to our community to let our community know, A, how much we appreciate them for supporting both programs, because they do a great job supporting both programs. And B, just how proud we are of the work with these students and families. Because remember, the family did a lot of that too. They had to sit there when they were in 6th grade and listen to it. It sounded like something was hurt. You know what I mean? So I would just say that's been a lot of work there, and there's just all kinds of opportunity coming their way for the Fine Arts program, and we're excited about that. And I'm just going to leave the floor open to see if anybody has any comments or if you have any questions there.
I have a question. And this is a real general question.
Yes.
But how has the overall participation level in band and choir kind of been trending over the last few years? Do we see any increased declines?
I would say that we are very healthy programs. Okay, that's the best way I could put it. That we have from, I'm just going to give an average here. Any beginning program in Springdale School District will have from 150 to 200 kids in it. So that's a 7th grade program. And remember, Springdale kids start a year later than most kids and still have those results. Because most kids start in 6th grade in band and choir, but we start in 7th and we have to make up a year. So that 7th grade is so important because we have to do all of 7th grade and all of 6th grade at the same time to get where we need to be in 12th grade or 11th or wherever we were going with that. But I would say choir is the same way. They have large groups in choir as well. There's some program, I think Ben had close to 300 at one point in his program. So it's a very healthy program. And I'll say this too, I saw some of our athletic friends here. We work hand in hand with athletics to make sure that kids don't have to make choices and that we are working together to make sure that kids can do both. Absolutely. Any other questions? Any comments from the band?
You also see the fruits of your labor.
Absolutely.
In how well your middle school and junior high choirs are taught basis your results.
Correct.
In senior high. So
Absolutely. It's a whole system. I mean, everybody knows this. If your middle school's not kicking on all cylinders, then your junior high is not going to. And if your junior high doesn't, then your high school's not going to. Yeah. We have that conversation a lot, just so you know that. That's a monthly conversation. So, nobody has anything to say? I can't believe that.
These folks actually make a pretty good back-to-school band too, don't they?
They do. It's the best back-to-school band in the state of Arkansas. I will say that. By a mile. I'll put our rock band against anybody's rock band. Anybody? You want to bring up students or anything?
Well, this is Jackson Kaufman. This is Carly Johnson. Jackson is our choir president. Carly is a 3-year all-stater, a 3-year section leader, and she is a 2-sporter. So she was one of the only kids from Springdale that was band and choir in all states. So we thought it'd be great to tilt them along. Jackson also ran the choral performance assessment last week, and I gave him my honorarium because he did run the event. He's better than any student teacher I've ever had, and he's a senior.
Great. Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Coach Stellick?
Thanks for coming.
Good evening, everybody. Can I answer that same question to you?
You can.
In the fall sports, we had 50-some kids more this year than last year. In the winter sports, we're down 3, and that's really with one school. In the spring sports, we anticipate being maybe up over 100.
So that's a good trend.
Yes, I think we're trending in the right direction. So, but good evening. We kind of break things into fall, winter, and spring sports. So we just finished up our winter season this past weekend with a great basketball game in Hot Springs with Springdale Bulldog boys team being in the championship game. So we created a lot of memories though this past year. We're going to have 4 or 5, maybe 6 teams hang a banner in the gym from conference championships or other things that they've accomplished. So a lot of dreams were created this year. But tonight we're going to celebrate our 2 swim teams, HAR-BER and Springdale. Coach Hervey and Coach Witten. Coach Witten, if you'd show up here, come up here, please. And all the student athletes, come on up here. We're going to have you presented as well. But Coach Hervey, the Springdale coach, has had some health issues in his family, so he'll not be here tonight to visit. But Coach Witten has his Springdale kids, and he'll talk about his HAR-BER kids and his Springdale kids. Coach Witten, thank you.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Coach Nathan Witten. I coach the HAR-BER swim and dive team, And tonight I'm here representing Springdale swim and dive team as well. Matt Hervey sent me an email of some of the accolades and things that he wants to recognize his student athletes of what they've achieved both in and out of the water. We have Eli here. You can step forward, and then we have Breezy as well. They represent Springdale High School. Eli's actually a national merit finalist, and Breezy was first place finished at the state meet that took place in Little Rock. For Coach Hervey and his team, he had 5 conference champions. The school record and medals awarded included 51 and 30 including conference. And then he had 3 state champions, 2 state runner-ups, and 9 more podium accolades, including relays, and then 5 of the 6 relays medaled, which was a school record for him. Kevin Brumfield was 2 of the state champions. He was a state champion in 2 of his events and set a state record. And then the girls, the sisters, Breezy and her sister, went 1-2 at state. And then this season, they've taken all but 4 school records off the board. And at state, Jordan and Eli set school records in the 50 free. Kevin set a record in the 100 fly and the 2 IM. And the girls' 200 free relay set the school record for conference. And so I'll let Springdale High School have their moment. And so if Eli and Breezy want to step up to the mic.
Hi guys. How are you?
Good.
Good. I'm Breezy. Breezy Sanchez. I'm a senior here at, I actually don't go to Springdale. I'm homeschooled, but Coach Hervey was really, really kind to kind of take both me and my sister under his wing, which was super cool. This whole team has been super hospitable. It's been otherworldly. It's been awesome. But yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
I'm Eli Wetzel. I also don't go to Springdale. I go to SOI, but because we don't have a swim team, I can swim for Springdale. I've been doing that for the last 3 years. I also swim on Aquahawks.
Tell us what events y'all do and what your plans are for after high school.
So I do all of the events of diving. So platform, 3-meter springboard, and then 1-meter springboard is what we compete in high school. And so my plans after high school are I'm actually going to be diving at the University of Arkansas. So that'll be super duper fun. Yeah.
I swim mainly freestyle. I sprint freestyle and butterfly, and my plans after high school, I'll be going to Missouri S&T, and I'll also be swimming there.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Great job.
Okay, next up, I want to introduce the HAR-BER Swim and Dive, some of the students that are here. We have Max Tischer. He swam predominantly the backstroke, but he was able to step in and fill in a lot of roles that helped our team. Then we have Connor Boatwright and Ellie Adams. Connor Boatwright is a junior. He's verbally committed to swim at Mizzou. One of the great things that he has achieved this past year was he broke the state record in the 500 freestyle, and he won both of his individual events. And along with those feats, he was able to help our relays get on podium and help a lot of the other students get the chance to earn some recognition. Ellie is just a freshman. She attends Central Junior High, and the possibilities are endless with her for her swimming career. There's been lots of times when I've asked her what events does she want to swim to help the team, and she kind of turns it back onto me, and she's like, well, Coach, what do you need me to do to help the team? And so just having that attitude has helped me tremendously, because it helps all the other student athletes see that you don't have to just swim one event, you can swim multiple events to help the team out. And so I'm really proud of their support and proud of their efforts of what they've done for HAR-BER Swim. This year, we've had 45 students compete for HAR-BER Swim and Dive, and we also had 13 student athletes graduate. And for myself, this is my 7th year here. This is the biggest graduating class that I had. I thought last year was going to be the biggest class I would ever have, and 9 was going to be it, but I ended up having 13 this year, and I'm really excited and proud of that, because not every student athlete was a state champion, but every student athlete had something to give, to share with their team, but also they had something to give of themselves, for themselves. And so we had our banquet this past Sunday, and a lot of the speeches that the seniors talked about, it wasn't so much more of what they achieved in the water, but the person that they become, that the person that they have become, and that they're going to be later on in life. And as a coach, and just my philosophy and just the things that I believe in the character and the development as a person, because at some point they're going to leave my program, whether they quit the team or they graduate and they move on to other aspects of life. And I just want them to walk away with so many lessons that are going to help them feel equipped to make the bigger decisions in life that we all have to face. And so as a team for Har-BER Swim, I'm just really excited and proud for where we have come from and where we are going as a team. And I'll let the 3 student athletes come up and speak.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland and board. My name is Max Tischer. I'm a senior this year. I just want to come up here and thank Nathan for letting me be so flexible with my schedule. So this year I'm doing the industrial maintenance program at SOI, and that meant I couldn't swim practice. I couldn't do practice in the morning because I had to commute to SOI for industrial maintenance. But he was super flexible and let me actually still swim in the meets. So I got to actually compete my senior year. I've swam all 4 years, but this year was a little bit of a struggle. So I'm glad he let me compete. I went to state, top 10 finishes. So, yeah.
What are your plans?
I'm going to talk a little bit more about it later.
Okay.
But
That's fine.
yeah.
I'm Connor Boatwright. Just like Eli, I'm at SOI. I'm virtual, and I swim at Har-BER. It's my 3rd year at Har-BER, just finished up, and it's really nice, being committed to University of Missouri. We're excited about that.
I'm Ellie Adams, and as Coach said, I'm at Central right now. I just recently moved to the area, and I didn't come to the team knowing a lot of people, but they were all very welcoming, and they made me feel like I was part of the team right from the get-go, and that was delightful. And there's not much else I could say. The other 2 have said most everything.
Any questions? All right, well, thank you all for your support, and thank you, Dr. Cleveland.
Those are our future leaders walking out the door right there. I guess they have parents here.
Oh, yeah, parents. We got parents here? I should have recognized them earlier. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Y'all are the ones that have to get up.
Have you seen her?
I forgot.
What good are you?
I'm way down here, so I can't do it.
Future leaders, right there. Okay, well, Ms. Hutchinson and board, we gone through the process of trying to create an academic calendar for the 23-24 school year. As you know, last year in the legislative session, the last time in the legislative session, there was a change in what the academic calendar could look like, the start date. This legislative session, they realized the difficulty of the old law, and they've repealed it, put it on hold, and now we have an opportunity now to have a different kind of calendar. It's just been passed, and so our team with Lexi here has worked hard to create a new calendar. Typically it's been Jill, and Jill's kind of backed away a little bit. She's passed the torch.
I know. It's like, I'm so sorry. I can't really fill those shoes. She's amazing, but I'm really honored to be here and represent PPC. So you guys should be provided with what was Calendar A, and we collected 1,585 votes. Out of that, Calendar A got a majority of 55.3%. It was close, but I think some of the reasons why this one won out was the way we structured Christmas break. It really looked a lot like this year, which also allows us, without using any of those makeup snow days, to get out that Friday, or students' last day being that Thursday before Memorial Day, teachers' last day being the Friday before. I know that was important to a lot of people. One thing that looks a little different from this year to this next calendar, in an attempt to kind of balance the semester schedules as well as to accommodate some of the feedback we got from secondary, we moved one of the days in October, which is usually PD and a flex day. We took one of those and put it in February because we had a lot of those secondary teachers saying, I teach a semester-long course, and as many days as we can build into the front end and make it more balanced is helpful. And that was also an attempt to buffer in some snow days just in case, so that we can hit 40 days minimum for both quarters before Christmas break. Those were like the big highlights though, but any questions I'm happy to answer.
I don't have any board. Any questions about the calendar? If not, I believe we need to take some action on that tonight, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 academic calendar as presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Emerson and a second by Mr. Bell to approve, I believe, what is marked as calendar A.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion about that? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
President, Ms. Wood has really done a good job this morning. So I want to talk about how sweet and kind and good she is and easy to work with. So thank you, Lexi.
Thank you.
Okay. I saw Mr. Ellis in the room. Got a really great opportunity to listen to Mr. Ellis here. He's been doing a lot of work with all the CTE teachers in the district.
Hey, good morning, board. So, I guess actually evening. So it's good to be before you today, and we wanted to share some success that we're having in our work-based learning and workforce training. So we have some students here that we'll be talking to, and these students will be recognized for areas that they're working in, but then we'll also share some events that we've been working on locally and also with Be Pro, Be Proud areas that we've worked in lately through the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce. So we had a big draft day event. And so I'm gonna have our students come up and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Just a second, recognize them, and so I'll have them all come up. So I have Max Tischer, I have Brandon Cortez. Chance Earp is not here. We have also Adriana Adalco and Epifanio Flores, who's not on that list, but he's one of our students. So they're all participating in different work-based learning programs that have been going on this fall. So I'm just really going to let them speak to you about that, and we'll follow up on just a few pieces. So I have Max Tischer, and we'll start off with him. So.
Hello, Dr. Cleveland and board again. So this year, I was going through the traditional flow route, Central to HAR-BER, all that. I actually attended a year at SOI in 8th grade, but I ended up going back over to HAR-BER for 9th grade. But my junior year, into my junior year, over the summer, my mom told me there was an opportunity to get into the industrial maintenance program over at SOI. So I went there for morning class, double blocked there, so about 3.5 hours, and then I actually went over to lunch at HAR-BER and finished my day, my English and my math at HAR-BER, and then my day was over. Recently it's changed because I got a job over at Bruner & Lay. I'll talk a bit about that in a little bit, but I want to talk first about what I was doing at SOI before my schedule recently changed. I'm over there still right now, but I went over there mornings, down there afternoons. I was I started in industrial maintenance, then I got more into welding. So right now I actually have my OSHA 10 certified in the core in safety for my OSHA or NCCER certifications. Right now I'm training levels 1 through 4 welding. So by the time I'm out of school, I'll be a certified level 4 welder through NCCER. But that's what I'm doing over there. Recently, I got this job at Bruner & Lay, which is industrial mining equipment or tools, demolition tools for demoing mountains, stuff like that. I work in the forge, so every day I work 7 to 12 over there with Brandon and Chance, but he's not here. And I'm in there in the forge, working with hot metal. I'm pretty dirty, you can see my hands, I didn't have time to change. But I go over there 5 hours, and then I have a pretty weird schedule now where I'm 3 days a week at SOI doing my welding training, 2 days a week taking double block English at HAR-BER so I get my seat time. Because I actually recently took a test to get my math cleared. So I have my math done for high school. And that's kind of my situation. If y'all have any questions on that. Pretty weird schedule, right? All right.
So what's your plan after high school? You told us a while ago, you were going to tell us later.
Oh yeah, so my plan after high school is kind of up to what Bruner and Lay wants to do with me. I'm not thinking about going to college really, because I'm getting the more hands-on experience part instead of the school part, I guess. But if I wanted to, I could go to trade school and get it covered with scholarships. Pretty much go to trade school for free. But I'm gonna let Bruner and Lay decide if they want to keep training me in-house, or if they want to send me to like trade school and then I'll transfer to U of A for free. That's an option. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm gonna let them figure it out for me, because I plan on being there a while and trying to work my way up over there. So
They have plans for Max.
At least you have options, that's good. That's a big
is it
deal.
the forge, the only forge master in the United States?
They're going to take Max and partner him with a, call him a master trainer. Max could potentially be a lead trainer for them in that area. So exciting things, Brandon.
My name is Brandon Castro. I'm a senior at Don Tyson School of Innovation. I am in the industrial maintenance program as well. I'm an employee at Bruner & Lay. I work with the CNC machines. 2 years ago, I got the opportunity to join this program, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to do after high school, but this program really opened a lot of doors to me. It showed me a lot of new things. And it's not just like hands-on, they also teach you adulthood, responsibility, holding yourself accountable. And yeah, I really like the program. It helped me a lot. And now I see myself working at Bruner & Lay full-time after school in the long term. Yeah.
Tell me, what is a CNC machine?
A CNC machine is basically, I forgot it. What is that
Computer numeric control.
Yeah. So basically you create a program and you tell the machine what to do. Creating the program is something I'm not really, not currently interested in. I'm more interested in running the machine right now. Maybe in the future I can get into that. It's sort of like metal fabrication. You can also use like other things besides metal, but right now it's mostly metal at Bruner & Lay. They give you orders and they give you a raw piece of metal, steel, and the machine carves, like engraves things into it, different shapes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brianna, she's from Archer. She went through in the PI program, so she'll talk a little bit about what she's currently doing.
Right now, I'm working at Crossland. Right now, I'm just doing labor work. Right now, we're working in Rogers at the NWA flight, and we're building a hangar for them. That's pretty much what I'm doing.
Good. And we have Epifanio. I don't know if Epifanio is with Multicraft, so.
Epifanio, like he said, I'm currently working at Multicraft. I go there every morning and I go to school at 12. Right now I'm currently welding. Sometimes I make, right now when I have time, practicing on welding so I can take a 6G test, stick welding, and through that I'm trying to get into the oil field and see where I go from there. But right now they're helping me out really well. It's a good company and I enjoy it a lot.
Where do you go to school?
Don Tyson.
So you're in the welding program there?
I was. This year they put me back on it, but then I decided that I didn't want to be in it no more. I wanted to try an internship because I felt like I wanted to put my knowledge to the test, and well, right now I'm at multi-craft.
So a lot of people made this happen. Instructors back here, they stand up real quick. Mr. Higginson, and we don't have all of them here, but then also Mr. Rhodes, Ms. Brown, I think Marcher, Ms. Blackston from SOI, who helps us with our internships. A lot of teachers are a part of this. So these companies, it's about options. They're working a lot internally. They want to grow from within. So every company that's been represented here, Ed Fonio didn't tell you this, but he's on SEAL Team 6 at Multicraft. One of my best friends is a fabrication manager over that shop, Brian Rogers. So you have to be a pretty high level welder to get on SEAL Team 6. So just the name should give some stature to that. So they are looking at training plans for each one of them. Adriana is in an apprenticeship track. So that's typically a 4-year apprenticeship. She will finish out and become a master level carpenter. So we're just really excited for her and what's going on. Angel, who could not be here, is working 2 jobs. So he works at Multicraft during the day, and then he's working at Walmart still at night in security. We've had a lot of kids who've been hired on. We don't represent every spectrum. Jason, Mr. McMullen is back there with aviation, so he has a partner there in Summit that they'll talk more. There's opportunities who will be presented to some of our students this summer to work over at the airport. So these things are continuing to grow and blossom. So really appreciate them being here and all the instruction and the support that we get in these programs. So, yes, I'm going to see your head out. So a couple last things. So this was a huge event in Northwest Arkansas, a culmination of a partnership between our local chamber and the state chamber, and really a heavy lift on a lot of our instructors and teachers to get over 200 students to an event that allowed our students to participate with companies. And actually it was a pairing event that allowed them to go through 3 interviews, and a lot of them were able to get job offers that very same day. So this is something that has not been done before in this part of the state, and we wanted to take on this opportunity. We learned a lot of different pieces of that process that we'll be able to tweak, but I think it was a very good benefit for a student. There's some ongoing job opportunities that will come out of that over the next couple of weeks. So I think at the end of the day, somewhere in that number of 200 to 15 to 220, I'm anticipating that we're going to get somewhere around 35 to 40% placement, which is a good number. So it's just more about opportunities that we're building into these programs for our students through curriculum, through alternating their schedules, but every employer that we meet, and we're continuing to meet more on a daily basis, they're excited about what we're doing. They're excited about what we're doing. And then they're also very engaged in how we grow our students. So they not only want them to further educate themselves for the company, but they want them to have a growth pattern and trajectory that will be productive for them in the business as well. So a lot of things happening, a lot of good things, and so very proud of the people who are here and the people that you don't see reflected across all spectrums of our business, our medical side, the ag side of the house, the diesel technology that you didn't see. So we just have a lot of opportunities continuing to grow. So any questions, thoughts, comments? One last thing, we had a really good day with our instructors from our project Lead the Way. Just recently we took a tour of JMP Solutions. That's a robotics integrator that's housed here in Fayetteville. They moved here specifically for the poultry industry. So that's a way for us to tie our STEM projects and our STEM programming of automation, robotics, and computer science into these types of areas. And I could give you a list of industry that's working with us in those. So just another way that we can revamp and enhance our skill sets, not only for our students, but our teachers as well. So a lot of things happening. Appreciate your support.
all you.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
I think we'll just do, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. We've got a resolution to hire staff, so it's real simple. Every year, for those of you in the audience that don't know, we hire between 150 to 170 people per year. And it takes a lot of time. The way our board does it is allows the district administration principals to hire staff, and then I report to the board those staff members. So this year, just like every other, we need to begin the hiring process. And so I'm asking the board to consider a resolution to hire staff for 23-24 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to hire staff for the 2023-2024 school year.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Emerson, a second by Mrs. Cook to allow Dr. Cleveland to hire the needed personnel to run our schools for the next upcoming school year. All those in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against it? We're good to go. Now, Miss Kendra, you can come up.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. As you know, may have heard, there's a legislative session happening right now. Dr. Cleveland has been heavily involved in advocating for you and school districts in Arkansas and Little Rock every week. One of the things about a legislative session is even though some pieces of legislation have passed, nothing is final until the legislative session is final. So rather than going through all of the pieces of legislation that have passed, I wanted to just give you kind of an update on the big piece of legislation that everyone is talking about and reading about, and that's the LEARNS Act. As you know, the governor signed that 144-page piece of legislation into law last week. There are lots of pieces to it, lots of moving parts. We have, the day it was filed, we were diving in, reading through it, asking questions, marking things that we didn't understand, and we continue to have a lot of questions. The different thing about the LEARNS legislation than what we have typically seen in Arkansas is usually state legislature, at least here in Arkansas, kind of passes little pieces of legislation all along, and it fits together in this package at the end of the session. The LEARNS Act is a big, huge omnibus bill. So we're adjusting to exactly what that means. The other very unique thing, which makes it kind of difficult to start running on what the new legislation means, is a lot of the details of the LEARNS Act were left to be developed in rules and regulations. Typically, the Arkansas legislature has lined out a lot of those details in the legislation, so when the rule process comes, we mostly know what the rules are going to be. That's just not the case with LEARNS. So we're kind of in a holding pattern, even though I think everybody on our team wants to start running and wants to start implementing and getting things done. We know that if we get too far out in front of the rule process, there's a chance we're stepping back and having to redo things. So what we are doing is just today, actually, the Department of Education published an opportunity for people to apply to be a part of the rulemaking work groups. They're really going to work on the front end to try to get some of that input in the drafting of the rules, with the idea that that will speed the rulemaking process along. So I know Dr. Cleveland, myself, Ms. Tischer, Ms. Fink, Dr. Smith, whoever we can get to throw our name in the hat to get our voice at the table on those rules, we're going to make an effort to do that. Just a note about the rulemaking process. Rulemaking is not fast. So even the least controversial rule that gets almost zero public input, I would say is about a 6-month implementation period. So I don't know if we've talked about this before. If we have, it's been a while. For the department to make a rule, they first write it, send it to their state board to go out for public comment. The public comment period has to be at least 30 days, and then they come back and look at those public comments. If there are changes, substantial changes that are made based on the public comment, they send it back out for public comment again. So then that's another 30-day period. So once they get through the back and forth of public comment, it goes back to the state board. State board approves it for final approval, and then sends it to the legislature for approval. At some point in the process, the governor's office is also approving that. And then after the legislature approves, it goes into effect, I believe, 30 days after that. So you can see that it's not a fast process. There is an emergency rulemaking process. We've heard that they're not going to exercise that option. I'm not really clear on the details of why. Excuse me. But again, just kind of laying out expectations that we do not have the answers today, and it may be a little bit before we get the answers. We'll continue to monitor all the legislation, and once the legislative session is over, we can give you a bit more of a play-by-play on exactly what's out there. What questions do you have?
So with that rulemaking process and the time windows, you're likely not hitting any of next year's school.
Yes, that's correct. Which makes me a little bit nervous, obviously. I would say at the earliest, we'll get the first rules either right as school is starting or into the fall. And then, of course, the rules will affect what your policies are. So we'll have to go through that process too. So it's hard to look at starting school under new legislation.
Basically gonna have a year without any of this Learns Act impacting school change, any change in.
A lot of the pieces of it potentially. I feel like it's just going to kind of be a year of in limbo of what rules are we operating by. But the good thing is all the school districts are in the same boat. So I know that Dr. Cleveland and his colleagues at AAEA will be making some decisions to try to have the best that each superintendent and district can do, kind of a collective effort.
What we do know is we're going to show up and have school, buses are going to run, we're going to pay our bills, we're going to focus on kids, and that's our main focus. And I know that's yours, and you won't let us stray from that, and I appreciate that.
Will different pieces of the bill be rolled out at different times? I mean, if it takes a different amount of time for rules and regs to be approved, they're not all going to be approved at the same time, right?
Right. I think it'll be piece by piece. I think we'll see some initial policy changes that are relatively easy and routine that can be done, and then as the rules come, we'll follow in behind them and update our rules. And then there's some things that will not have rules that we'll be able to implement more quickly. But again, it's just kind of, getting our bearings and making sure that we're not jumping out too far ahead of what we know is coming. But I'm sure you're going to start getting lots of questions from community members. We're getting lots of questions from staff about what does this mean? What does this mean for kind of their whole world of employment? And we'll do our best to share out information and be as transparent as possible as soon as we're able to.
That was my question, because I've had lots of, especially educator friends, reach out and kind of not quite panicking, but almost panicking about some of the things that it says. And I just wondered, what kind of communication are we sending out to say, the buses are going to run, we're going to teach the kids, we're going to pay the bills, we're going to get there. But I don't know, I know one of the biggest concerns I heard was that the salary steps are not required anymore. So and I kept saying, I can't imagine that we're going to take all that away.
Yeah, do you want to comment?
Part of that is tonight too, when you don't have really solid information and you put something out, even in writing, there could be different iterations coming as more information comes available. And so I've been wanting to really try to help our Springdale family understand that they're still our Springdale family. And we're gonna do everything we can, not only as a board, but as administration, all the way down to whoever's employed by this district, that you're still employed by this district. And we care about you, and we're going to take care of you like you take care of our kids, and we take care of each other. The thing is, we don't know how the Department of Education and the legislature will create different circumstances that change the way we do our work. That's why I say we're still going to have kids come every day. Our children and our teachers really we don't want them to feel impacted in any way by the legislation, other than more support. So I'm not sure how we go there, Miss Creek. I just know that's where we're going.
Yeah.
And
That's what I keep saying. Springdale's they're gonna take care of you. You're gonna be fine.
we're going to all work together. It's going to take a little bit, and
I even told a Fayetteville teacher that because she was, saying stuff to me, and I said, well, I'm just gonna tell you, Springdale's gonna take care of our teachers, which means Fayetteville's gonna have to take care of theirs. Or they'll all come over here.
And another piece of it too that all plays into it is they're still working on the foundation funding amounts and talking all the adequacy pieces. And so that obviously plays a really big role on, how and what and when we do things. So those discussions are happening as well, which of course speeds all of this.
Well, that's going to trigger the execution of the ability to manage with the access to funding, right?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, one would think, right?
Yeah.
When we're
One
rulemaking.
can't be without one or the other.
Right.
And in the rulemaking process, if you get to a part that's just impossible to implement, like this is like a really ignorant legislative overall question, but like, is there a point where we could go back, or the legislature could go back and say, hey, that's not gonna work after all, we're gonna have to change that? Like, can it be amended at this point?
Sure. It can still be amended even now because the session is still pending. And then there is always an opportunity for special sessions that the governor is able to call. There'll be a fiscal session a year from now that sometimes can and does have some cleanup language. So yes, there will be opportunities. And I'm hopeful that because of the flexibility that has been given in the rulemaking process, that if there are some things that just don't work when it's actually having to be implemented, that the department will be granted that flexibility that I think's there in those rules. So yes, there is opportunity to go back and amend.
our legislature did that with the school calendar. Realized there was a mistake. Said, hey, let's fix this. I have confidence that they want school to happen.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Just thank you, board, for being engaged. I know you all are actively working, talking. You've even been there. So thanks for all you're doing to help support your kids in Springdale.
Dr. Cleveland and board, if I could just make a few more comments about the legislative session. In a typical legislative session, one of the things that we are always looking for is how much is our foundation funding going up? And the LEARNS Act doesn't have anything about foundation funding and what it's increasing in it. So we are still anxiously awaiting that. The one piece of information in the LEARNS Act that impacts districts that we've seen a spreadsheet on is the to get districts to either $50,000 on their base or $2,000 increase for all staff if you're already at $50,000. Now, I say that, but it's only certified staff, and it's only certified staff that are not paid with federal funds, okay? So it's not all of our staff. So there's nothing in the LEARNS Act for classified employees, increases. So we're anxiously awaiting to see what the change will be in foundation funding to see what that allows. So anyway, it's a new year, a new session for us, I'll tell you that. So any questions on that I just said? Okay. Tonight we have with us Sarah Gentry. Sarah is a principal at HCJ. HCJ does our annual audit, and they've done it for ever since I've been here, so this is my 14th year, and they came on a few years prior to that. So, and Sarah has worked with us at least 8 or 10 years of those. So anyway, I'm going to let you hear from her about our audit for the year ended 6/30/22.
Thank you, board, for inviting me here tonight. I'm going to move this over. Thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to present tonight and for doing the audit each year. We really appreciate it. We'd also like to give a special thank you to Kelly Hayes each year and his accounting staff. They are truly amazing. An audit's not easy. It comes along with the territory. We pull a lot of information. We do a lot of searching. We request a lot of things and we ask a lot of questions, and they're quick to respond and get us information that we need to complete the audit timely. So we really appreciate all their hard work that they put into it. So I believe you guys got a copy of the audit in your packet. So we'll start with the audit opinion. You'll notice we issued a clean or unmodified opinion on the financial statements under the regulatory basis of accounting, which is the basis of accounting that's prescribed by state law, by the Arkansas Department of Education. Because the district does report under that regulatory basis as required, there's actually, you'll see an adverse opinion on U.S. GAAP because you're not filing under U.S. GAAP, you're filing under the regulatory basis. That's the only reason there's an adverse opinion that shows there. That's not your basis of accounting. So if you'll notice on page 4, we'll start out with the balance sheet under the regulatory basis. So under the regulatory basis of accounting, it's set up in column format by fund. So you have the general fund and your special revenue funds, which are your major funds. And you have other governmental funds and your fiduciary fund types, and your balance sheet balances out for each one of those fund types. The general fund consists of your operating funds of the school district and restricted state funds. Your special revenue funds consist of your federal programs and your food service. Your other governmental funds consist of your capital projects and your debt service. And then your fiduciary funds are your agency funds, which are your things like your band boosters, your school clubs, and so forth of the organization. Looking at the fund balances of each one of these funds, you'll see that the general fund has a $28.1 million fund balance. 5.9 of that is restricted for future state program use, and the remaining 22.2 million is unassigned or unrestricted for the district. The special revenue funds have a $19.1 million fund balance at the end of the year. That's restricted for federal program use, for future federal program use. And then the other governmental funds have a $135.9 million fund balance, which is all assigned for future capital projects. You'll see on the next page, on page 5, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. It's also in column format. So the general fund experienced a net increase in fund balance of $1.9 million this year. The total revenues were $224 million, which was an increase of about $4 million from last year, mostly attributable to property taxes in the current year. You guys experienced an influx in growth in the community, and a slightly higher assessment. So your property taxes were slightly higher than last year. Total expenditures were $195 million, which was approximately $2.6 million increase from the prior year. The majority of those increases, increase in salaries or in expenditures, had to do with salaries, a salary increase due to your step-up increases, and then an overall $500 being added to base pay in the current year. The district also had a need to increase their academic support interventionists this year to overcome some of the deficiencies from the remote learning during COVID that was seen, so there was an increased need there. And then purchased several maintenance vehicles that were needed in the current year. And then as a result of the overage in your general funds, you transferred almost $28 million into your other governmental funds for future capital projects use. Special revenue funds, those experienced an increase of $6.2 million. That increase relates to the ESSER 3 monies, and almost all related to ESSER 3. Most of the time, your federal programs are now cost reimbursement, and it's a pretty break-even scenario. This increase or overage that you see in the current year relates almost all to your ESSER 3 monies in the current year. And then other governmental funds had a net increase in fund balance of $100.3 million. Revenues were $6.3 million in the current year, which was actually $4.5 million less than the prior year. that decrease in your revenues in these funds really had to do with the SOI Phase 2 and the Rollins money, where you had some partnership money specific to those projects in the last year that you didn't have in the current year. Your total expenditures were $29.6 million, a decrease of $12.3 million from the prior year. That decrease was mostly attributable to less capital outlays in the current year needed. And then the district also, so the majority of your change in this, in these funds happened in your other financing sources and uses. So you had a bond refunding in the current year that paid off several higher average interest rate bonds to one lower average interest rate bond. So it wrapped those up, refunded those, and then also provided some excess for some some ongoing and future capital construction projects. And then likewise, as mentioned before, there was a transfer from the general fund of $28 million into the capital projects and debt service funds. Page 6 is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance on a budget to actual variance for both the general fund and the special revenue fund. You can see that the property taxes experienced an overall net favorable variance from budget of $4.8 million. The district conservatively budgets typically based on prior year numbers, kind of like a flat, wasn't expecting a significant community growth. And it did experience a population increase in the current year, so there was a positive variance from budget of last year. Federal revenues, or state revenues were higher than expected by about $808,000. That has to do with the increase in the per student state funding of $164 per student. So there was an increase in the current year contributing to that increase from budget, that favorable variance from budget. And then expenses had a net favorable variance of $14.8 million. The district conservatively budgets those costs each year, but there was various salaries and other COVID-related expenses being paid for in the ESSER funds versus in the general fund. So there was some fluctuations in where those monies were being bucketed out of in the current year. Capital outlays were higher than expected from budget by about $2 million. This was due to some unanticipated building projects that had to occur in the current year. So the various fluctuations led to a net favorable budget to actual variance of $5.3 million in the general fund this year. The special revenue funds, the federal revenues were lower than budgeted by $33.1 million. This is simply due to the fact that the state required that all districts budget for all the ESSER monies, even though they knew they wouldn't be able to spend them all in the current year. They had to budget as if they were going to spend for all those monies, so that's showing up. So that's why there's a huge $33.1 million difference from budget. But they have through the next year to use that, so those monies will be used. I'm sure they've already been spoken for. Yes, exactly. And then the special revenue fund expenses had a net favorable variance of $39.8 million, which was also due to the budget requirement that we just noted. So, okay. Starting on page 7 are the notes to the financial statements, and we're not going to go through each one of them. They're consistent with the prior year's presentation. We do like to point out, the one that I like to point out the most is on page 11. It's note 4, it's your future commitment of the district. So under the regulatory basis, it really focuses on current uses and sources of funds. And so the debt doesn't show up on the actual balance sheet like you would see in a normal for-profit entity. So this footnote gives a lot of good detail about the bonds of the district, the future construction contracts that are already obligated and so forth. So at year end, the district was already obligated for 5 construction contracts totaling approximately $44.4 million. And then this also goes down into show the different bonds that are outstanding. The balance was approximately $259 million at year end. You'll see under there, that's where the refunding occurred of $173.5 million. So it refunded several bonds and gave you a little bit of excess for future construction projects. Then going back behind, there's several reports in the back, starting on page 15. There's various reports that are required by various state and federal entities. We won't go through each one of those. On page 16 and 17, you'll see that's your schedule of expenditures of federal awards. And you'll see that the districts expended $51.1 million of federal funds. So this is kind of the second piece to our audit engagement. We do the financial statement piece. And then this falls under what's commonly referred to as a single audit. And we have to do certain tests on these for compliance with certain federal regulations. So out of those, if you'll see on page 25, that's the schedule of findings and question costs. We were required to test 4 programs this year as major programs. That's the Education Stabilization Fund, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, or the TANF program, Title I, and then the CCDF cluster. 4 really large programs that the district runs, and we found no findings that were required to be reported in those programs this year. So those are 4 really large programs. Lots of kudos are to be had for not having any reportable findings in programs that are that large to administer. So great job to the district and all who work in those programs. We did follow up. If you remember last year, there were 2 prior year findings that we had to do follow up on this year. So if we have a finding in a prior year, we follow up on those findings and make sure they're resolved. We noted that the district had implemented the procedures and there were no similar findings in the current year on those findings that we noted last year. So, and then the very last report in there is the state statute. We're also required to test certain compliance requirements with state statutes. We didn't have any reportable findings on those state statutes that we're required to test. Does anybody have any questions on the financial statements?
So you're auditing both federal and state programs. First part was the 4 large programs that you audited.
That's right. That's right. So we don't test state programs per se. We have to test certain state statutes. They give us a list each year that they provide of the state statutes that we're required to test. Now, some of the federal programs are also partially funded by state monies as well, but yes.
Mr. Hayes did a good job, he and his team.
Yes.
Very good job. I'm proud.
And yes, that's a good point. Auditing standards require us to, if we were to have had any disagreements with management on auditing standards or application of principles or anything of that nature, we would be required to notify you guys as those charged with governance of those disagreements. Or if we felt like we were having delays in any kind of reporting or anything like that, we would be required to notify you guys. We're happy to report we had none of that. So good, to your point, Dr. Cleveland, it was a smooth audit for sure.
So we need to take action to approve the audit then, correct? Yes, sir. Board?
I make a motion that we approve the audit report for the year ended June 30th, 2022 as presented.
We have a motion by Mrs. Creek and a second by Mr. Owenby to approve the audit as it has been presented. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you for everything you've done for us this year.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just so you know, all of our federal programs meet that threshold, so they just have to pick and choose every year which ones they're going to look at. In smaller districts, there would only be 1 or 2 every year that meet the threshold. So,
Take them to go through the audit process.
you know, it's not nearly as long as you would think. They're in the field about 6 days maybe. So it goes by. They bring a team, and so they're all looking at different pieces, and so yeah, it really goes pretty quickly. It just takes a while then for them to go back.
Did you use the terminology conservatively budgeted?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It's pretty sneaky.
Okay, board, the next item on the agenda is the financials for the month of February. And you know, once again, when we look at our building fund, as she alluded to, we still have a pretty significant balance because we're still in the process of spending down our bond proceeds on these ongoing building projects. But you can see just from July 1, we've expended over around 30 million. So that you will continue to see that balance fall as we finish up Central, or work toward finishing up Central, Southwest, and Springdale High. So the other balances right now, you know, they're in line with where they are typically. If you looked at our revenue report, we're still a little behind where we were this time last year. You know, in school business, local taxes are paid twice a year, when they're due in the fall or in the spring when the tax bills come out. And so we won't know until close to the end of the fiscal year how we'll do compared to what's been budgeted for property taxes for this year, but I don't anticipate it being off substantially. I think we'll be in good shape. And then on the expenditure side, once again, our expenditures are slightly ahead in the operating fund over where they were this time last year. And I attribute that partially just to getting back in the swing of things post-COVID, because in the last couple of years, our expenditures have been a little down. And I think I'm not worried about it at all. I think we're right on track to where we should be at this time. So, but anyway, if you have any specific questions for me, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
I think you've answered this for me before. In the building part of this summary at the top there.
Yes.
Does that include just capital projects, or is that the building and grounds type?
No, that is just our major construction.
Then once it completes, it transfers into operating.
Well, no, what I'm saying is those funds are restricted for our major building projects. And so our regular maintenance projects go through the operating fund, ongoing year to year.
As you're building out, you're coming out of that fund.
Yes, we are. Another way you can think of it is the building fund are mainly one-time expenditures. Central Junior High, Southwest Junior High.
Once it's finished, then everything after that goes into operating cost.
Yeah, then
Close it out.
maintaining it comes out of the operating fund. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other?
Board, does anybody else have any questions for Kelly? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the February financials.
Second. We have a motion by Mr. Bell, a second by Mr. Emerson to approve the February financials as presented. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. Now, Mr. White's going to talk to us about our construction project.
Okay.
Hello, Board. Dr. Cleveland. Okay, so at Springdale High, they're making good progress. The area without the brick, that's actually the auxiliary gym, and it's already been roofed. We did get a solution to the brick, so that's in the works right now, getting that repaired. They're actually putting the windows in on the west side of the building, so they're working their way around.
Hold on, Jeremy. There's a question about the brick. The brick, some of them had a sheen that looked kind of shiny, and the others looked kind of flat. And so we worked with the brick company to come in, and they're staining each brick to make sure each one of them have a similar look.
There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
They just look different.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
He doesn't whisper very loudly. Yeah.
My wife says I can't whisper, obviously.
I couldn't even hear you sitting next to me.
I heard him say, "What's wrong with the brick?"
Yeah,
We better back up and talk about the brick. It looks great.
Yeah, it was nothing structural, cosmetic. So we got a solution to that. We are putting in the windows on the west side. That's just another view. This is in the main gym, so they've actually got the structural steel going in. They've got the decking going on, and then they've started putting on the roofing material. And they've got about 90% of the block work done inside the main gym. And then this is the auxiliary gym. So they've poured the slab in there, and then they're using that to store some of the equipment. And this is like if you were standing in the lobby looking to the west. So that's concession. You've got locker rooms. There'll be an elevator in that area. And they have started all of the mechanical rough ends, electrical, plumbing, everything overhead. That's all has started. And then they've started the classroom wing that's on the east side. They've started the block work on that and have all the scaffolding set up on that section of the building.
Mr. White, when do you think the board could take a tour of that?
I can set up a tour anytime, whenever's convenient for you all.
Just think it's really neat to see those things in phases, and I know you all like to see what you're doing.
Yeah. So actually walking around there, it's a lot different than looking at these photos. It's a big building. So yeah, anytime you guys want to go, just let me know and I'll get it set up.
You can do it corporately or individually, however you want.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever's easiest for you all. Do you guys have any questions on Springdale High? Okay. Okay, so Central, they are putting up a lot more steel over there, and they've done some storm drain lines on the east side of the building, and then over the summer, there's some storm drain that goes under the temporary bus drive, so we've stopped, and then over the summer, we will take all that up and do the storm work, and then finish that parking lot out. So there's some more steel work, and they've actually put some decking on the second floor over in the office area, administrative area. And this will be the auxiliary gym. They've got that slab completed. So this is in the administrative area. So you can see the decking's in. They've started a lot of that overhead plumbing and electrical. So, I mean, they're making a lot of progress. They're still doing a lot of underground work for the electrical, water meters and everything. So, they are on the second floor over the administrative area. They're getting ready to put that decking on, and they'll put some roof curbs and everything to get ready to set the HVAC units when it gets time.
So, Mr. White, we're still on track to get in there over Christmas.
Yeah, so it's moved to about Christmas break and this year. So, I mean, they've got a lot of work to do, but that's what the schedule shows right now. So we've got the furniture ordered and everything, so it should line up for over Christmas break.
Busy Christmas break.
It should line up for over Christmas break.
Busy Christmas break.
Is that a semester earlier than what we thought?
Well, we thought we might be able to smash the gas and get it in August, but August of '24. But that was just way too aggressive. And so we thought, well, at the end of next year, Paul Michelle's done a really good job along with Jeremy and the whole team trying to focus on trying to get in there that second semester. So there'll be a lot of work to do in 2 weeks over Christmas break. A lot. But it'll be good.
So wait, are you saying Christmas break of 23 or 24?
23. 23 for phase these projects. I mean, we've had little issues at every one of these, trying to keep fire alarms up in the existing gyms and egress exits functioning and stuff. So we've just been working through them as they show up.
Okay. It's not like we're relaxing standards. We're meeting the standard just in a good way. The city's been great to work with.
Yeah, so like at Southwest, we've added a set of doors out of the gym because we knew we was going to have that exit not in a construction zone. So, do you guys have any other questions at Central? Okay. Southwest, they're still putting up a lot of steel. That's areas A, B, and C. In areas A and B, all of the overhead plumbing is in progress. They've actually started pouring the concrete on the second floor. And it's actually, they're in the phase where they're grinding that floor, getting it ready to polish. So they'll do all that before the walls start going up. In the field house at Southwest, they're painting the interior. They've got all they're in the process of putting all the downspouts and the gutters up, and they're doing a lot of electrical work in that building, so it's moving along. And that's just another view of the steel going up, and it's a lot different in person, how big that structure is going to be. That's actually, it's got some learning stairs you can see. They're up. And then the concrete that they've poured is west of those learning stairs. So they're working their way to the east. You guys have any questions at Southwest? Okay. So George Elementary, I had Dusty send me some renderings of George. So this is actually the front of George Elementary. There'll be a secured vestibule, some new administrative space, and then we're going to remodel the old administrative area. But that's what it will look like. This is inside. This is the media center, which now is the cafeteria. We're going to remodel that. That's what it'll look like. So this is where the gym was setting. It's a little bit south of the old gym, but this will be the gym entrance of what it'll look like. And then that's what the gym will look like, and then there's a cafeteria back to the north of this gym. So those are the renderings that we have. We did have to push the bid opening back a week because we didn't have, some of the subcontractors needed more time. They're busy right now, and we gave them an extra week so we could get more people bid on these jobs. So it actually, Milestone should have a GMP to present to us hopefully tomorrow. And then that'll give us from this March 16th through the 29th to work through all the GMP and come to an agreement. And so we're hoping by March 30th we can give a notice to proceed and accept the GMP. We can get the insurance and the bonds done by April 4th, and then mobilize on site May 29th is our plan. So we'll actually start construction the day after schools gets out, on the front and on the back of it by the gym, and then we should have the front complete by the time school starts. So hopefully the kids won't have any delays in the front area. The back will be construction through August of '24.
We're gonna have to go another year without a gym.
Yeah. So I know Mr. Swope's been working with George Junior High, and they've been getting access to that gym. And then we'll still have areas there on site. We'll fence around, so they'll still have access to playgrounds. We brought in some portable storage buildings for the PE equipment and everything. So they'll still have access there on site, outside, until we can get this finished. Okay, so the district roof repair, we've completed all the on-site visits with all the subs, and so the bid package for this is set to go out this week. So it'll get bid out to all the subs, and then they'll bring us back a GMP, and then we'll work through that once we come to agreement. We plan on starting May 29th, as soon as school gets out. So we're trying to schedule these projects where we can get at least half of them this summer if we can get material, and then the other half next summer. So we're working with Ms. Fink and Tisher and Dr. Smith on summer schools, trying to work around the summer schools so we could still have the kids in some of the buildings. And part of these roofs are buildings that doesn't have kids in them, so we'll work on those throughout the school year. So we're just trying to get that schedule built. Okay. You guys have any other questions for me? Okay. Well, anytime you guys want to do a tour, just text me or call me, and I'll set it up. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy.
He makes that sound easy. He makes that easy. This is, he does great work, he and Trey's and all things. He made it sound easy. And you.
Good evening, School Board and Dr. Cleveland. My name is Valerie Hanna, and I am the Secretary of the Springdale Education Association, and of course an elementary teacher here in Springdale. I am happy to be with y'all tonight. Ms. Tucker, our president, is finishing up her conferences, and they also had their first grade performance tonight, so she was unable to be here. So we have, one of the things that we got to do here recently is we continue to work on our building leadership within our buildings by sending 2 of our members to Little Rock to participate in the NEA training on organizing our association. We are very excited to announce that Ms. Tucker was actually elected to serve for our district as the AEA, on the AEA Board of Directors. So she will have a significant role with them now. Still obviously most significant being a teacher here in Springdale, but just as a, yet another thing that she does amazingly. SEA has been very busy in this last month trying to fight the LEARNS Act. We've had members that went down and testified in front of the House Education Committee. We gave interviews, we sent emails, we called legislators, we led rallies, we participated in rallies, and just tried to get the word out to support our public schools. We reached out to AEA immediately after finding out about the SB 206, the school board bill that they were trying to put through. And we shared that with our membership and had them start contacting legislators as a result. And we have noticed that there already have been some changes made within that bill. I saw that it was supposed to be on the agenda tomorrow for the Education Committee, and it has currently been deferred. I had to go ask Ms. Tischer exactly what deferred meant, because I feel like I've gotten an education, something that I never wanted to know anything about over this last month, and she said that, it means that it's not currently on the table, but all they have to do is say, hey, let's talk about this. So something that we're going to continue to watch very closely, because it's not what's best. We have also been helping, we are now transitioning after that bill went through, to help improve the bill so that we can make sure that our students in Springdale and across the state get the best education possible. Because we know that public school teachers and our teachers in Springdale are what's best for all students. And we firmly believe that Springdale is the best of the best, and we want it to keep going that way. So, that all being said, it has definitely been a stressful couple of weeks. We want, and we have felt the backing of our schools, of our fellow teachers, and I think we just have to continue to keep supporting each other to do what's right for public education, and to do our best to educate the public also on what's best for public education, because unfortunately, we don't know what's coming at us. As was stated before, we fully understand, to you, Dr. Cleveland, we fully understand that you don't know what to say, that you don't know what to tell us, because they aren't giving us any information. And they are holding back on something that is the most important thing. To not give us the information, to not have the rules, to have no idea how they're going to do these things that they want to do I think I actually said this last month, it's beyond scary. So let's put a smile on our face and say, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being there for us. Thank you for, you know, doing what's right by Springdale teachers and by Springdale students. And we appreciate you.
I just want to say thank you for supporting us in the Senate Bill 206, which, by the way, has been refiled by Senator Penzo, and it's now appearing under a new number. Is it 390?
I think he's got a different bill. I'll get that to you.
It's been updated, and they've taken out the partisanship part of it.
Thank goodness for
but
that.
the other three parts are still in it, which we still don't really necessarily agree with. So there's still work to be done there, but
absolutely,
the partisanship part has been taken out of it, and there's more to come on that.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's so hard because it seems like what we know changes, you know, not even daily, but like middle of the day to the end of the day to the tomorrow, it could be completely different. And there's so many people that have so many little pieces of information that are correct and incorrect. And like, I didn't even know that because we were discussing that earlier. And so yet again, something that I feel like the general public does not know what's going on. For as much time as I spent on my Facebook trying to get everybody to pay attention, and my own sister was like, now what is this about? Oh, I don't want to get on my soapbox with you because I love you. So anyway, thank you again. And any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight. Okay, we do have a couple of patrons that have signed up to talk with us. The first one I've got is Jason, is it McMullen or McMillan?
McMullen.
McMullen. Okay, I was wrong on both of them. So if you want to come forward and talk to us.
Good evening, board members. And some of you have been to my aviation classroom, so it's good to see you again here, and thank you for having us. Dr. Cleveland, it's great to see you again. This is Daniel Hughes. He's the general manager of the Summit Aviation here at the Springdale Municipal Airport. And so we have a wonderful event to tell you about that's going to take place next month. And I'd like for him to tell you a little bit about it.
Right, so we're going to be hosting a fly-in and open house event. Traditionally, a fly-in is just a bunch of guys with airplanes that like to get together on some Saturdays, and they'll have breakfast at a local airport if there's a restaurant. I wanted to join the HAR-BER High School with Summit to create an open house that the high school students can actually help build and bring in the community as well. So that's the open house part of it. We're going to have all sorts of vendors from different companies throughout the area, the city specifically, along with a lot of different aviation groups, Arkansas, some backcountry flyers, aerobatic airplanes that are built here nearby, and then all sorts of anybody else, as well as just getting the public out to the airport to give them an idea of what we do at the airport. So if you've never been in a private jet, come out to the airport that weekend, and we'll get you in a private jet to see what it's like.
The date again?
April 15th, with an alternate date of April 22nd if we're rained out. Now, the main goal of this ultimately is to get these students engaged in actively building something that happens in the community, specifically related to what they are working on in the aviation curriculum, to build this event so that they can communicate and develop mentorships with pilots and organizations that work with aircraft.
And the one thing we want to let the board know, and for the whole district to know, is that at this event, students from 8 to 18 years old will be given the opportunity to have a free discovery flight in an airplane thanks to Fly ARH and EAA Young Eagles program. So we'll be getting this information to Trent Jones very soon so it can be distributed to all the schools here in the district. We would love to have a great showing and get the kids excited about aviation here in Springdale.
What time on that day is it supposed to start?
That's going to be from 8 a.m. to 3:30. So anytime that you're free throughout that day, welcome to join us. And be there for an hour, 2 hours, or the whole day. Don't really care. Just as long as you're there, that's what we'd like. I would like to make one more comment if I could. I see I'm out of time. Reflecting what Rob Ellis said earlier about workforce development, I will be doing my first summer this year. We will be doing aviation internship for the aviation curriculum students. I will choose 4 of them. They will actually work directly with me out on the line, fueling aircraft, towing aircraft, working with customers. So actually getting them out there before they go on to their senior year or off to college.
Awesome. We appreciate that partnership.
Very well. Got some flyers for everybody if you need.
Okay.
So when you say get us in a private jet, are we talking like?
Don't get your hopes up. Don't get your
Fly
hopes
somewhere exciting?
up.
You can beach somewhere?
You can sit in it and make airplane noises all you want.
Okay.
But we'll get you in there. It's a hoot.
Well, we appreciate
Thank you, board, for your time. We appreciate
Thank you. Okay, and then the other patron that has signed up is, I believe it's Callie Day. Is that right? Come on up.
Good evening, School Board and Dr. Cleveland. I'm Callie Day. I'm Vice President of SEA, 8th grade math teacher here in Springdale, and student council sponsor at my school. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for your investment in public education, pure and simple. Your commitment to setting the example for other districts in Arkansas as well. I'd like to thank several of you who I've seen in my classroom recently. I just appreciate taking the time to see what actually goes on in the classrooms. We know that recently the narrative that our media and legislative body have put forth is not what actually happens in the classroom. So I appreciate you taking the time to actually come in and see that. Arkansas Learns has a lot of people ranging from students, parents, teachers, and future employers concerned about the future of education in Arkansas and the ripple effect it will have in our community. Having personally dissected all of the 144 pages, there is a lot of legitimate fear. And so being a district that has historically set the standard for the state, I'm grateful that we are a district committed to serving all of our students, no matter their background, socioeconomic status, language, abilities, or other factors. I'm grateful to work in a district where teachers truly have what's best in mind for students at all time. Their every decision and sacrifice that they make is centered around what is best for kids. Their students are on their minds far after their car leaves the parking lot. There's never a worry about a teacher in Springdale being anything less than fully committed to their students. And now is the time where we ask you guys to continue to partner with us and strengthen your partnership with us to stand for and speak for our students and families, but also for the educators. We know you guys are behind us, and with the gray areas, we're just asking that we continue to walk hand in hand. Like she spoke about 206.
Go ahead.
Okay. Some of our fears are different than what would affect you, but I know that these work hand in hand. Salary schedules and teacher fair dismissal are a lot of the fears that I've heard across the board from colleagues. Previously, having worked in a pretty abusive school district, I can testify to the psychological trauma of feeling like your job is constantly on the line, or that you're financially unstable, even with advanced degrees and working well over 40 hours a week. I chose Springdale. This is the place I want to be more than anywhere else. These kids are the ones that have my heart, and I can't imagine being anywhere else. So, both to dignify your teachers and to set an example for the state by publicly supporting teachers and classified staff, I want to thank you because we know that you are committed to that, to making sure that teachers can sustain the cost of living and are protected in their everyday jobs. By protecting us, we can protect our students. And we will continue to advocate on behalf of students and their families, as well as for you guys. Like the amount of people I've been able to talk to about 206, which I guess is...
It's now 389.
389, okay. Just having those conversations and people seeing educators advocating not only for the students, but for the families and parents and school boards, and seeing that somewhat unlikely partnership. A lot of districts, there's a lot of contention there. And I've been able to confidently say that I work in the best district in the state, and I truly believe that. My undergrad is in PR. This is a side note. So the communication that you were talking about, I think, is so crucial. One thing that, I don't know if it's an ask or just to bring attention to, I know a lot of our families don't know about it because it's not in their language. So if there is communication that can be put forth that is clear, consistent, and transparent for them, I know that our communities that speak other languages will absolutely be behind public education because it's what's best for their kids. I'd love to be a part of that if there is need, but just continuing in that advocacy for our kids and for their families in this community, because they support us and we support them, and you guys support all of us in that. So again, thank you. And we'll continue to just work hand in hand. It's a weird thing. I'm from Missouri originally, and I was talking with my dad about just all of this. He's like, you can talk to your school board? Like they listen? I said, yeah, they do. So mostly just to thank you more than anything.
Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And with that, I don't think there's anybody else that has anything to say. If not, I am going to adjourn this meeting. Thanks for being here.
Best patron comments.
Yeah.
We don't usually get those kind of.